This is a story of me, Gustavo. This is a AI dungeon story read by AI characters. You can find the chapters of this story in a playlist in the description, and make sure to subscribe, you motherfuckers.
You are Gustavo, a male godfather living in New York City in the year 2023. You own a vast empire of crime, controlling a vast network of mafia operations. Your power and influence have spread throughout the city, and your reputation as one of New York's most powerful figures is unmatched. You wield your power like a god, using it to your advantage and to your own ends. You sit at your desk, a cup of coffee in hand, as the sound of gunfire echoes in the distance. The streets are bustling with people, but your eyes scan the crowd for any potential threats. Your phone rings, and your most trusted lieutenant, Tony, enters the room.
Boss, he says, we've got a problem.
You say, Tony, you fucker, I was just having my coffee. What's all that noise about, huh?
It's the Russians, boss. They've started a new war. It's in Europe this time. The war in Ukraine has spiraled out of control. The EU is collapsing under the weight of the refugee crisis, and the US is on the brink of war with Russia. We need to act fast.
You say, Tony, until I've had my fucking coffee, there's nothing I'm going to do but yell at you. Now give me a second, Tony.
Tony nods and retreats to the doorway, waiting for you to finish your coffee. You take a sip and think about the situation. The war in Ukraine has been a thorn in your side for some time, with the Ukrainians refusing to bow down to Russian demands.
You say, Tony, I finished my coffee, come back in here.
Tony enters the room, his expression grave.
Boss, he says, we can use this to our advantage. The war has caused a major disruption in the global economy, and the EU is in shambles. Now is the time to strike.
You say, Tony, we're already selling them guns. We're mobsters. What more do you want from me?
We can expand our operations, boss. Smuggle in more contraband, increase our influence over the black market. With the EU in chaos, we can become the dominant force in the region.
You consider Tony's proposal. It's risky, but the potential rewards are great.
You say, what fucking contraband do you want to sling besides guns? Tony, you want me to sell those stupid robo-dogs they put in the subway? What are you asking of me here, Tony?
No, boss. We'll stick to guns, drugs and money laundering for now. We also have connections in the black market for electronics and other high-tech goods. We can expand our reach there as well.
That's what we've been doing, fuckface. Tell me something I don't know. You know what? No. Get the hell out of my office, Tony, and don't come back until something important happens.
Tony nods, understanding your mood. He exits the office, leaving you alone with your thoughts. You sip your coffee, contemplating your next move as the sound of gunfire continues to echo in the distance. You look at your window to see what's making that racket. As you look out the window, you see a group of protesters gathered in the street below, holding signs and chanting slogans. They seem to be protesting against the war in Ukraine and the government's inaction towards the refugee crisis. You shake your head, not bothering to get involved. It's not your problem. You get tired of sitting around. You go see what Tony's doing. You exit your office and head towards Tony's office. As you walk through the corridors, you hear the sounds of typing and voices on the phone. You knock on Tony's door, and he looks up, a worried expression on his face.
Boss, he says.
You say, Tony, it's the morning, and you know how my moods can be, so I apologize for that. But that uselessness you were spewing in my office was embarrassing, so I'll give you one more chance. If there's something important going on, tell me now.
Yes, boss. We've received information about a potential arms deal with a group in the Ukraine. They're offering us high-quality weapons at a very good price. We can use this opportunity to expand our influence in the region.
You nod, intrigued.
You say, Tony, say one more thing about this Ukrainian hoopla and I'll cut out your tongue. My God, if I didn't know your mother, I'd have thought you came out wrong. Now tell me anything else besides Ukraine, this or that. Please, Tony.
Understood, boss. We've also been receiving requests for high-end electronics and other contraband from various sources around the world. With the EU in shambles, we have a unique opportunity to expand our operations globally.
You say, define contraband, Tony.
Weapons, drugs, fake IDs, stolen goods, anything that's in demand but illegal, boss.
You say, Tony, not literally, you fucking literal everything, motherfucker. What contraband are we smuggling specifically? Not just quote-unquote high-tech. What does the buyer want us moving, Tony?
Oh, sorry, boss. We have buyers requesting things like unlocked phones, gaming consoles, and even designer clothes. The market is expanding rapidly due to the chaos in the EU.
You say, Tony, I'm glad you're putting in effort for the company to find buyers. I'll have a talk about it with the rest of the family. But just one thing, kid, that's not a contraband. None of that is illegal. Tony, why are you stressing me out like this? You could just say you found a way to make more clean money.
Understood, boss. I'll make sure to use appropriate terms in the future. And thank you for your trust in me.
You shake your head, chuckling at Tony's earnestness. Maybe he'll make a good boss one day.
You say, Tony, I think it's more than just terms you're having trouble with. Walk with me. Tony, we have to have a talk.
You both leave Tony's office and head towards your private conference room. As you walk, you can't help but feel a sense of pride for what you've built. It's not easy being a crime lord, but it's definitely lucrative. And with Tony's help, you're only going to get bigger.
You say, let's head down to Central Park. This one's gonna be a doozy, Tony. Now, Tony, you know I got nothing but love for your family. Your mother was like a sister I never had. But you've always been kind of slow, Tony.
I understand, boss. I'll work on improving myself.
You roll your eyes, but you can't help but smile at Tony's dedication. He might...
Shut the fuck up. Narrate tour. That is not what I'm thinking. You say, Tony, you're not getting it. I want you to look at the star I'm pointing at in the sky very closely and wait for the next thing I'm about to say.
Together, you and Tony stand on the rooftop of your headquarters, gazing up at the night sky. The stars twinkle above you, and for a moment you feel a sense of peace wash over you. Then you clear your throat. You blow up the star Tony's looking at.
Boss, what did you do?
You say, Tony, no one will ever believe you, and you'll never be able to explain what you just saw. You have disrespected me and the family with your repeated and already known information. Now I'm giving you a 30-minute head start to get you and your mother out of my city before I kill you.
But boss,
Run, boy, run!
Tony turns and runs, his heart pounding in his chest. He knows he's in trouble, but he never expected it to escalate this quickly. As he flees the scene, he can't help but wonder what he's gotten himself into. You light a cigarette while you watch the stars, and then go to bed. The next morning, you wake up to the sound of your phone ringing. It's an unknown number, but you decide to answer it anyway.
Hello, Mr. Boss. This is Tony. I want to apologize for what happened yesterday.
You say, I'm tracing this call. Wherever you are, you're not safe anymore. I wouldn't suggest calling again.
I know, boss. Please, just give me another chance. I promise I'll make it up to you.
You say, you're a liability and actively endangering your own life.
I know, boss. Please, just give me another chance. I promise I'll make it up to you.
You sigh heavily, contemplating Tony's plea. On one hand, he's proved himself to be quite the asset in the past.
You say, fuck you.
What was that, boss?
You hang up the phone, a smirk playing on your lips. You've got a few things in mind for Tony, but for now it's back to business as usual. Later that day, as you're discussing your newest business venture with one of your lieutenants, your phone buzzes. You glance at the screen, half expecting it to be Tony again. You check your phone. It's a message from an unknown number. You open it up and read it. Meet me at the abandoned warehouse on 4th Street at midnight. Don't bring anyone with you. You raise an eyebrow, intrigued. You go as instructed, but bring a Tommy gun and a dozen grenades. The night is dark and eerie as you approach the old warehouse on 4th Street. You keep your eyes peeled for any signs of movement, but all is quiet. Suddenly, a figure emerges from the shadows, holding a lit match. You recognize it as Tony. You open fire. The air fills with the sound of gunfire as you unleash a hail of bullets towards Tony. He drops to the ground, screaming in pain. Before he can recover, you toss a grenade in his direction and run for cover. The explosion rocks the warehouse, sending debris flying everywhere. When the dust settles, you approach Tony's motionless body cautiously. Tony is indeed dead, his body riddled with bullets and cuts from the grenade shrapnel.
You say, thank God.
You feel a sense of relief wash over you. Tony was a loose end, and now he's been taken care of. With that thought in mind, you turn and leave the warehouse, ready to focus on your next move in the criminal underworld. You gather the rest of the family for a meeting and try and take credit for Tony's idea to open up legal business in the EU.
But that's a story for next time. In the next chapter of my life, the dance off.
Oh, yes.